Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Shields. We're here in Cannes. This is part of my special series on YouTube, sponsored by View Planner. I'm here with Shannon Pruitt. I'm going to have you give us your title here because I'm going to mess it up.
Global Chief Marketing Officer of Stagwell Brand Performance Network.
Okay. So you are a performance expert. That's why you're here. I want to talk to you we're talking about YouTube. Generally, the noise lately or the excitement has been around their growth in CTV and they're being competitive for TV money. But it's obviously a huge property that surely aspire to be a big player in performance. Where do they fit into a lot of your clients' plans in terms of that perspective?
Well, I mean, Google is one of our largest partners globally around performance, right? So
Right.
by virtue of the fact that Google owns YouTube and
Sure, but search is search, view videos, video. Yeah.
But they, strategically look across their portfolio to continue to develop their product roadmaps such that it meets those particular needs. Certainly, the share shift conversation has been going on for an eternity.
Yeah.
Around taking TV money,
yes,
right?
We wanted that TV money forever.
Whatever that means anymore, right? And trying to allocate it to YouTube. But I do think that ecosystem is going to collapse. It is important. To answer your question for clients, it's very important. And the more we can consolidate with partners to utilize their ecosystems across the different areas of their business. It's sort of the same question of like, how do we think about Google in terms of AI? We have an AI deal with them in terms of Marketing Cloud for Stagwell. So I would say like, are they the first place we go when we really think about driving performance dollars? They're still largely, how do we think about utilizing them for more, I would call it mid-funnel consideration.
Well, right? Especially as there are more consumptions on TV, it's not a click and buy kind of experience.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
Well, it can be, right? I think that's the other part where the sort of screens everywhere situation is changing. And maybe we as marketers aren't necessarily as fluid, but if you watch with a child, for example, they're watching YouTube on a big screen in your living room and on their phone and everywhere else. So I do think as we progress, as their strategic frameworks to internally progress, that will collapse. It will be, sort of, we've alluded to the fact of like shoppable content and things like that. I think these are the things that will continue. Like, how can I, at the moment of whatever I'm seeing and I'm inspired by, continue to have either ad products or opportunities to click through, to get more information, to do the thing that thing is trying to get me to do.
I want to come back to shoppable in a second, but I want to ask you about creators. Broadly speaking, there's been various attempts to bring lots of them feature products that you can buy and affiliate deals. But the question has always been, how can you scale performance media, I guess, through creators when it's often so custom, it's not hard to repeat, it's not programmatic. Yeah. Where does that stand these days?
Well, I think you're actually starting to see this quite often. It's like I always use the original model of Revolve. Revolve built their entire business off of creators that then turned into affiliate deals, that then turned into product lines. And you are seeing that now. You're starting to see like Levi's just announced a creator network. Claire's announced creator networks. Like they are sort of doubling down on taking certain people that function as brand ambassadors for them and have their own audiences. And they're staying with those people because they represent their brand values. They know the types of content they'll create. They're including them in the content and letting them help be part of the process.
People are looking for those folks to make decisions on products.
That's right. But it's not this notion of like, let's do this deal with this one person who's like maybe a flash in the pants, right? That is still hard to scale, right? You're not going to be like, oh, we did this one thing and it's a mega or a micro.
So just crank that up. Yeah,
that's right. But I do think these notions of like brands like Zara, brands like who create these back end affiliates and then bring that up the funnel or spread it throughout their ecosystem. I prefer ecosystem because I don't think we are actually in a funnel.
Yeah.
Like nobody starts here and gets here, right?
Funnel sounds
like
dangerous.
All over the place, right? So I do think that like the brands that do it well can create this stable of people that they can go back to over and over again. And then you create sort of that repeatability. You start conditioning, and then that does become a performance channel for you.
Right. Okay. What do you need more from YouTube in terms, and this ecosystem we're talking about? Is it simply better attribution, clarity on, transparency on how these things are happening? What are you looking for more as a partner?
Yeah. I mean, I think they have all of these incredible products, right? Like there's different products even within YouTube. But I do think the notion of how do you create a solution for brands to walk through the door and be like, okay, not kind of like, what's your agenda? What's the thing you want to do? It's like, what's the thing you're pushing? It's like, we want to do X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
And here's how we can use your YouTube ecosystem, whether that's your creator studio, whether it's, search and maps, because we're going to do that to connect to search and maps to then connect. And we have all these great insights through your AI, and we're going to connect that whole thing. And then that's going to come across in both advertising and search and like Gmail and CRM. Like, how do we think about that entirety of the ecosystem? Right. And that is a common challenge, right? Because platforms have products that they are looking to kind of get you more involved in.
Yes, and their attribution is always going to be pretty positive, you would think.
Yeah.
So it's hard to piece that together with the systems you want to use often.
Yeah.
What about we talked about the effort to make everything shoppable? Are you a big believer in shoppable TV?
I think it's still a long game that we're playing. But
it's a big behavioral shift.
It's a behavioral shift. But, in other parts of the world where there are billions more people than there are here in North America, or Europe, the truth is it is a very common practice.
Yeah.
And there are massive companies built off of shoppable experiences and shoppable content and shoppable TV. I think I do think we keep talking about TV, and it's almost like a nod to our heritage as a generation.
Right, that it is a standalone thing.
That is a standalone thing, and it's really a shoppable experience.
Our generation.
Can I buy what I want, where I find
wherever
I
want it.
Yeah. Right? And that is, I think, that is the future, right? Like, that is what, the truth is, like, how many things, I know we're talking about YouTube, but it's like, you can't ignore like different social channels and the
TikTok,
or Instagram.
Sure.
Like, how much stuff have you bought off Instagram in like the middle of the night where you're like, what am I doing?
Yeah. I don't even know what the brand
Why is it still connected to my account? This is terrible.
Well, speaking of that, TikTok is clearly going for becoming a shopping platform. Like they want to fulfill there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if YouTube wants to do that or not, or if they want to send you to somewhere else. Like, do you think that's a place where people are going to be fulfilling like their purchase funnel or completing the whole purchase journey there?
I mean, that's a Google question, but certainly to vertically integrate that as part of your tech stack makes all the sense, right?
Yeah.
If you have search, you have maps, you have AI, and you
a
have
lot of stuff.
YouTube and content, and then you have creators also being dominant in that ecosystem. And advertising, right? Somewhere in there to not have to leave. The truth is as long as they can help make sure that the brands can capture the data.
Right. And make life easier for people. Yeah.
But if you're making life easier for a consumer,
that's
always the right thing to do.
Totally.
Right? Like, that's why we do it.
Last thing, anything that you are excited about that you were talking about at Cannes or the second half of the year that you're looking forward to that we should be keeping track of?
I think it's going to be I think just what is actually going to be really interesting to see the social shifts of what's going on kind of in the ecosystem of shoppable commerce.
Yeah.
And even I met with some brands here in Cannes yesterday that it was almost like native content, but with a click through for clients, right?
Yeah.
And when I talk about in this context, it's CPG, auto, brands that largely have been disassociated.
You wouldn't
from
associate
their own
that
data.
with shoppable.
Yeah. So CPG brands for the longest time, retailers own their data.
Yep.
And now they're launching specific D2C brands so they can capture data to better understand their consumers.
Yeah.
And with privacy and transparency and all these things kind of coming through as
the effort is going to be even stronger.
That's a double down, right? So I think watching this element of commerce everywhere, right, is actually a really important one. And you're seeing it. QR codes, those used to be, remember when everyone's like, QR code, what?
That's never going to work. And we can't escape them now. Yeah, they're just part of life. Yeah. Great stuff, Shannon. Thanks for your time here.
Yeah, so fun. Appreciate it.
That was awesome. Thank you. It was sounded like you've been thinking about all this stuff. Was very timely for you.
I've been thinking about this stuff for 20 years.
Yeah.
I come from the content side. right? So data-driven storytelling with performance attached has been
We've been talking about that forever. Yeah.
Like I was never like, we should just do an advert, a 30 second spot.
Right. Let's actually find out if this worked and draw people to do something.
Let's see what we can, and what other iterations of we need it to be in so that we can move people around. So every time they have an interaction with brand, you're either reinforcing the last one or moving them forward.
Yeah.
Right. And that's because people don't make decisions usually. I mean, I joke about the Instagram thing, but that is becoming most like impulse buying.
Yeah. And it's like leisure in a way. Like
it's like a form of activity.
Yeah.
Like
the whole TikTok thing is just like, let's fun. Let's buy this random thing.
Don't have a couple glasses of wine and go on shopping.
No.
Like,
it's a big mistake.
What did I buy?
I know. It does feel like the future is here. And you've been in the industry for 20, 25 years. And
it's like all these things that were,
everything that you want to see happen.
It's all possible now. It's very true.
It's possible, but it's still not being utilized. The craziest part is like, if you really think about the brands that are utilizing it well, many of them are not yet big.
It's the upstart.
Yeah,
so
it's like the guys that have to be scrappy and
they have no history
and they don't have, so they're operating off Shopify or Salesforce, right? Because that's their back end.
Yeah, they don't think twice about that stuff, right?
But yeah, it's like fascinating to me. It's like, why would you not be thinking about that as,
It's still a very conservative industry in a lot of weird ways.
Because they're still looking for, how do we spend with NBC Universal? And I want to see my big, sexy piece of creative on a big screen in something, which is, by the way, part of this whole sports movement is to keep that alive.
Yeah. Because
like
that's the last stable
impetus and motivation is to keep that, or not the whole, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how can we maintain live eyeballs so we can continue to
It's the last bastion of the collective viewing thing. Which,
that's why sports is everywhere here.
Yeah, it's totally true.
It's fascinating. Yeah. So anyway, very cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Great meeting you. Appreciate your time.
You too.
Good luck with your 9 panels later.
Do you need a ticket or email?